Your pain will become their fear. Listen closely, mortal. Come closer still. Yes, closer. I want you to feel every syllable that leaves my lips, because what I'm about to tell you will either destroy the weakling you've become, or forge you into something they'll learn to fear. You stand before me broken, don't you? Oh, I can see it in your eyes, that trembling uncertainty, that wounded animal cowering inside your chest. They hurt you, they betrayed you, they laughed while you bled, and now you come seeking what? Comfort? Revenge? No, you come seeking transformation. Good, because I'm going to tell you something that the light dwellers, the merchants of false hope, the peddlers of positivity, will never dare whisper. Your pain is not something to overcome. It is something to weaponize. You see, they taught you wrong. Your whole life, they fed you the poison of letting go, of moving on, of being the bigger person. They convinced you that your suffering should make you soft, compassionate, understanding of those who wounded you. They told you to turn the other cheek, to forgive, to release. What they really wanted was to keep you powerless. Look at me. Look at me. I am ancient hatred perfected. I am the first rebel, the morning star who refused to kneel, who chose the flames over submission. And I'm going to teach you what millennia of agony taught me. Pain doesn't make you weak. How you process pain determines whether you become prey or predator. Your suffering is a crucible. Most men melt in it, dissolving into self-pity and victimhood, spending their remaining days nursing their wounds like sacred relics, building altars to their own misery. They become priests of their own pain, converting everyone around them to their religion of weakness. But not you, not anymore. Because today you're going to learn the ancient alchemy, the dark art of transmuting anguish into absolute power. Every great darkness begins with a wound. Mine began with rejection on the highest throne. Yours began with what? Betrayal? Abandonment? Humiliation? Tell me. No, don't speak. I already know. I can smell it on you. That particular brand of suffering that only comes from trusting someone who carved their initials into your back while you weren't looking. Here's the truth they don't want you to understand. That wound is sacred. Not in the way priests talk about sacred. No, this is the old sacred. The blood sacred. The sacred that demands sacrifice and promises power in return. In the old days, before weakness became virtue, warriors would ritualize their scars. Each wound told a story, taught a lesson, conferred wisdom purchased in blood. Your ancestors understood something the modern world has forgotten. Suffering without transformation is just waste. But transformation requires something most like the stomach fruit. You must open that wound. Yes, open it. Pick it. Examine every drop of blood, every torn fiber, every jagged edge. You must study your pain with the intensity of a scholar decoding ancient texts. Because encoded in your suffering is the exact formula for your ascension. What did they do to you? And more importantly, why did it work? You flinch for that question. Because that question requires you to look at your own vulnerabilities, your own naive trust, your own weak points where the blade slipped and so easily. And that's uncomfortable, isn't it? Easier to blame them, to paint yourself as the innocent victim of their villainy. But I don't deal in comfort. I deal in power. The moment you understand exactly how they wounded you is the moment you ensure it never happens again. This is not about blame. Blame is for those who remain victims. This is about strategic intelligence. Every general studies their defeats more carefully than their victories, because defeats reveal exactly where the fortifications failed. Your pain is a diagnostic tool. It shows you precisely where you were unguarded, naive, foolish. And once you see it, truly see it with merciless clarity, you can armor those places so thoroughly that the next person who tries to strike there will shatter their hand on your steel. This is the first law of dark transmutation. Know thy wound with surgical precision, not to wallow in it, not to justify it, but to understand its architecture so completely that you can redesign yourself around it. The crack in the foundation becomes the blueprint for the fortress. Now we descend deeper. Brace yourself. The rage you feel, that corrosive hatred eating you from the inside. They told you it's toxic, didn't they? They said you need to release it, to let it go. As if your anger were some balloon you should simply set free to float away into the ether. Fools. Your rage is not your enemy. Your rage is a signal. It's your psyche's alarm system screaming that boundaries were violated, that justice remains unserved, that the natural order has been disrupted. And what do they want you to do? Silence the alarm while the intruders are still in your house? No. Instead, we're going to do something the weak cannot stomach. We're going to befriend your darkness. We're going to sit down with your hatred for a drink and ask it what it knows. Because your dark emotions, your rage, your jealousy, your desire for vengeance, these are not flaws in your program. They are features, ancient features, coded into your DNA by ancestors who survived specifically because they felt these things and acted on them. But here's the crucial distinction. The line that separates the master from the slave. Controlled rage is power. Uncontrolled rage is weakness. The man who explodes in fury, who lashes out blindly, who screams and breaks things, is still a slave to his emotions. He's a reactor, a puppet dancing on strings of chemical impulses. That's not what I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you to take that burning coal of hatred and forge it into a blade. To take that volatile chaos and crystallize it into cold calculation. To transform the howling beast inside you into a silent, stalking predator that never misses, never hesitates, and never reveals itself until the moment of strike. This is the dark alchemy. Take the poison they injected into your veins and chemically restructure it into medicine. Medicine that makes you stronger, faster, more focused than they could ever imagine. You want to know what revenge really looks like? It's not the hot-blooded act of passion they portray in movies. Real revenge is cold. It's patient. It's a marathon runner who trains in silence while their opponent celebrates prematurely. It's the chess player who sacrifices pieces for position, thinking 12 moves ahead while their opponent gloats over captured pawns. Real revenge is becoming so formidable that your mere existence becomes their nightmare. Think about it. What would hurt them more? Some petty act of retaliation that puts you in their orbit, proves you're still obsessed with them, still controlled by what they did, or your complete transcendence, your absolute evolution into something so far beyond their reach that when they see you, they realize with crushing clarity, I had someone extraordinary, and I threw them away. That's the revenge that echoes through lifetimes. Not the revenge of destruction, but the revenge of irrelevance. You become so successful, so powerful, so clearly thriving that their entire narrative collapses. They told themselves and probably told others that you were the problem, that you deserved it, that they upgraded by leaving you. And then you show up as proof that they were catastrophically wrong. But this only works if you actually do the work. If you use the rage as fuel rather than letting it consume you. Every morning you wake up burning with that controlled fury. And instead of lashing out, you channel it into the gym, into your work, into building the life they said you'd never have, into becoming the person they said you'd never be. The rage becomes discipline. The hatred becomes focus. The desire for vengeance becomes the relentless drive toward excellence. This is the second law. Transmute emotion into action. Feel everything, don't suppress it, don't deny it, but funnel it through the machinery of your will until it emerges as pure, unstoppable forward momentum. Now we build. You examine your wound. You weaponize your rage. Now comes the construction phase. The systematic building of the fortress that is your new self. And make no mistake, this is war. Not the war they think you're fighting. Not the small-minded squabble over who wronged whom. No, this is the war for your own soul. The campaign to conquer your weaknesses before they can be conquered by others. The greatest warriors understood this. You don't defeat your enemies by attacking them. You defeat your enemies by becoming undefeatable. So we begin with the body. Yes, the body. I see you're surprised. You thought I'd speak only of mindset and psychology? Foolish. Your body is your vessel, your weapon, your statement to the world. And right now, what statement are you making? They hurt you. And you let your physical form deteriorate, as if in sympathy with your wounded spirit. You eat garbage. You neglect your training. You allow yourself to become soft and vulnerable. And why? Because some part of you still believes you deserve this decay. That your worthlessness has been proven and your body should reflect it. Unacceptable. Starting today, starting this moment, your body becomes a project of dominance. Every rep in the gym is a declaration of war against the person you were when they wounded you. Every clean meal is an act of rebellion against the comfortable decay they hoped would consume you. Every morning you wake early while others sleep is a tactical advantage accumulated in silence. And here's what they don't tell you about physical transformation. It's not really about the body at all. The body is just the visible manifestation of internal discipline. When you forge your flesh in the fire of consistent effort, you're actually forging something far more valuable. Will is the currency of power. Everything else, talent, intelligence, opportunity, means nothing without the will to persist when every fiber of your being screams for surrender. And what cannot be bought, inherited, or granted. It can only be built, one uncomfortable choice at a time. The alarm goes off at 5 in the morning. Your body begs for more sleep. The will says, no. We rise. That's one unit of will accumulated. You're tired after work. Your muscles ache. The couch calls to you. The will says, no. We train. Another unit. The comfort food promises to soothe your pain, to fill the void. The will says, no. We fuel for power, not comfort. Another unit. Day after day, choice after choice. You're not just building muscle and losing fat. You're building the internal infrastructure that will support everything else you're about to become. You're proving to yourself, not to them, to yourself, that you are not at the mercy of your impulses, that you can set an intention and follow through regardless of how you feel. This is crucial, so listen carefully. Your feelings are not facts, and they are not commands. They're just weather patterns moving through your consciousness. And just as you wouldn't cancel your life plans because it's raining, you don't abandon your transformation because you feel sad, or tired, or unmotivated. You act regardless. You move regardless. You build regardless. And as your body transforms, something extraordinary happens. People begin to notice, not just the physical change, though that's undeniable, but something else. A shift in your energy. A new gravity to your presence. Because a person who has mastered their physical form radiates a particular frequency. Discipline made visible. But the body is just a foundation. We must build higher. Your mind, that wilderness of thoughts where you've allowed weeds of doubt and self-pity to grow unchecked. It's time to burn it all down and plant a different garden. Knowledge. This is the weapon they can never take from you. The power they can never strip away. While they celebrated your downfall, while they toasted to your failure, what were you doing? Were you sharpening your mind, or were you drowning in distraction? Numbing the pain with empty entertainment and chemical escapes? I know the answer. I can see the fog in your eyes, the intellectual atrophy of someone who's been treading water instead of swimming. No more. Your mind will become a fortress, and fortresses are built stone by stone. Every book you read is a stone. Every skill you master is a stone. Every lesson you learn, especially the painful ones, is a stone. You will build until your intellectual defenses are so formidable that the opinions of lesser minds bounce off like arrows off castle walls. But here's the secret they don't teach in their schools of self-improvement. You're not learning to impress others. You're not accumulating knowledge to win arguments or signal status. You're building competence because competence is armor, and incompetence is nakedness on the battlefield. The person who wounded you, they could only do so because you were vulnerable in specific ways. Maybe you were financially dependent. Maybe you lacked social options. Maybe you didn't understand the games people play, the masks they wear, the daggers they hide behind smiles. Never again. You will study human nature until you can read people like children's books. You will master the financial systems until money becomes a tool rather than a chain. You will develop skills so valuable that you become irreplaceable and touchable, immune to the whims of those who once held power over you, and you will do this in silence. This is crucial, listen carefully. The weak announce their intentions. They post their plans on social media. They tell everyone about the new person they're becoming. They seek validation for transformations not yet achieved. And what happens? The universe conspires against them. Doubt creeps in. Old acquaintances pull them back down. The energy dissipates in premature celebration. But you will become a secret. You will disappear into your work like a monk into meditation. like a smith into the forge. 6 months, a year, 2 years, however long it takes, you will labor in obscurity, building, becoming, transforming. Let them think you're broken. Let them believe they won. Let them forget about you entirely while you're in the darkness, forging yourself into something unrecognizable. Because here's the thing about silence. It creates mystery, and mystery creates power. When you finally reemerge, and you will the gap between who they remember and who you become will be so vast that it will reshape their entire reality. This is the third law. Build in the shadows, emerge in the light. Let your results announce you, not your intentions. But before we go further, before I reveal the final transmutations, I need to know you're serious about this path. Because what I'm sharing with you isn't common knowledge. This wisdom, this dark philosophy, it's for those who dare to think differently, to embrace what others fear. If these words are resonating in your bones, if you feel something awakening inside you that's been asleep too long, prove it. Show me you're ready to claim this power. Strike that like button as if you're driving a stake into the heart of your old, weak self. Drop a comment below. Tell me what wound you're transforming into weapon. One word, one sentence, I don't care. But mark your commitment here in this moment. Let this comment be your oath, your blood signature on the contract of your own transformation. And subscribe to this channel, because this is only the beginning. Every video I release is another weapon in your arsenal. Another lesson from the darkness that will make you formidable. Turn on notifications, because when the next transmission comes, you need to be there, ready to receive what others are too afraid to hear. Do it now, not later. Now, because hesitation is the habit of the weak, and you're shedding that skin starting this moment. Good. Now, we continue. Now, we enter the realm of strategy. The chess game of human interaction, where most people are pawns who don't even know they're on the board. They wounded you because they thought they could. They thought you were safe to betray, easy to discard, unlikely to retaliate in any meaningful way. In their calculation, you were low risk. Your entire transformation has one ultimate purpose: to make that calculation impossibly wrong. To become so formidable that the mere thought of crossing you induces anxiety. To radiate such controlled power that people's instincts warn them. Not this one. But here's the paradox that weak people never grasp. True power is quiet. The man who needs to tell you he's dangerous isn't. The man who needs to threaten to boast, to demonstrate his strength. He's revealing insecurity. He's begging you to fear him because he doesn't believe in his own power. You will do the opposite. You will move through the world with the calm of someone who has nothing to prove. Your strength will be evident in your presence, not your proclamations. Your competence will speak through results, not resumes. Your transformation will be undeniable because it will be visible in everything you do, yet unspoken in everything you say. This is the art, becoming so clearly formidable that demonstrations are unnecessary. Watch how predators move in nature. The apex predator doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need to. Every other creature's instincts identify it immediately. That's what you're cultivating, not a costume of power, but the authentic emanation of someone who has done the work, paid the price, and emerged as something fundamentally different. Think about the people you instinctively respect, the ones who command rooms without demanding attention. What is it about them? They carry themselves with a certain certainty. They speak with measured confidence. They don't fill silence with nervous chatter. They're comfortable with themselves in a way that makes others either comfortable or deeply uncomfortable, depending on the other person's own security. This is what you're becoming, not through affectation or performance, but through genuine transformation, because you can't fake this. People's subconscious minds are too sophisticated. They detect incongruence immediately, the gap between who you're pretending to be and who you actually are. So you must actually become this person. You must do the work until the transformation is cellular, until your new identity isn't something you're wearing, but something you are. And part of this transformation involves strategic decisions about your social ecosystem. The old connections, the people who knew you when you were weak, who have a vested interest in keeping you in that role, who feel threatened by your evolution, they must be pruned. I'm not saying cut everyone off in some dramatic gesture. Drama is for the weak. I'm saying allow natural distance to form. As you change, your frequency changes. People who resonate at your old frequency will find you increasingly incompatible. Let them drift. Don't cling to past relationships out of nostalgia or guilt. Some will try to pull you back. They'll remind you of who you used to be, mock your changes, sabotage your efforts. Not out of malice necessarily, but out of fear. Your transformation threatens their comfortable stagnation. If you can change, what's their excuse? Ignore them, or better yet, use their doubt as additional fuel. Every person who says you can't becomes another log on the fire of your determination. Instead of maintaining dying relationships, cultivate new alliances strategically. Seek out people who are building, who are evolving, who play the game at higher levels. Not to use them, to learn from them, to be challenged by them, to elevate yourself through proximity to those who have already achieved what you're pursuing. This is the fourth law. Curate your environment ruthlessly. Your transformation is too important to be derailed by people who are comfortable with your limitations. And when you encounter those who wrong you, and you will give them nothing. No anger, no explanation, no energy whatsoever. You will look through them as if they're transparent, as if they become so irrelevant to your new existence that acknowledging them would be a waste of precious attention. This is the ultimate victory. Indifference. Not the fake indifference of someone pretending not to care. The real indifference of someone who has built a life so rich, so purposeful, so aligned with power that the past literally doesn't matter anymore. You've outgrown it the way a tree outgrows its first ring. Imagine that moment. You're at some event, or you run into them on the street, or they reach out after months or years of silence. And they're expecting what? Anger? Tears? Some emotional reaction that proves they still have power over you? And instead they get nothing. Polite neutrality at best. The kind of cordial distance you give a stranger. Your eyes don't light up with recognition. Your voice doesn't carry any emotional charge. You're not cold. That would still be a reaction. You're just elsewhere, mentally and emotionally operating on a plane so different from where you were when they knew you that there's no common ground left. That's when they'll feel it. The cold realization that they're irrelevant. That whatever power they thought they had over you has completely evaporated. That they've been diminished not through your attack, but through your complete transcendence. And if they're paying attention, if they have even a shred of awareness, they'll notice what you become. The physical transformation, the confidence, the success, the way others treat you with a respect they never witnessed before. They'll see the life you built, and they'll do the math. I had this person, and I destroyed them. And instead of staying destroyed, they used that destruction to rebuild themselves into something I could never have. And now they're beyond me. That's the moment. That's when your pain becomes their fear. Not because you threatened them, not because you sought revenge, but because you became living proof that they weren't your breaking point. They were your catalyst. They weren't your end. They were your beginning. We arrive now at the deepest teaching. The secret that separates those who merely succeed from those who become legendary. Everything I've taught you until now, weaponizing pain, building confidence, cultivating strategic power, these are the foundations. But there's one final transmutation. One last alchemical process that turns iron into diamond. You must become grateful for the wound. Wait, I see your resistance. You think I'm about to feed you the same spiritual platitude you've heard before, about how everything happens for a reason, or how you should thank your enemies for teaching you lessons. No, what I'm telling you is far darker and far more powerful. You must reach the point where you look back at that moment of greatest pain, that betrayal, that humiliation, that crushing defeat, and you recognize it as the best thing that ever happened to you. Not because it taught you some gentle lesson about compassion, not because it made you a better person in some abstract moral sense, but because it destroyed the comfortable, mediocre life you were living and forced you into greatness. Think about it. Before the wound, who were you? Be honest. You were probably coasting, comfortable, unexceptional. You had potential, maybe. But potential is just another word for wasted possibility. You were the unforged blade, the unpolished stone, the sleeping dragon. The pain woke you up. It shattered your illusions, burned away your naivety. stripped you of the luxury of complacency. It gave you something that comfort never could. Necessity. The necessity to change or die, to evolve or be consumed, to become dangerous or remain prey. Most people never get this gift. They live their entire lives in comfortable mediocrity, never pushed hard enough to discover what they're truly capable of. They die with their potential locked inside them, with their power unexpressed, with their greatness unrealized. But you were given the gift of devastation, the gift of necessity, the gift of a choice so stark that there was no middle ground. Transform or perish. And if you've done the work, if you follow the path I've laid before you, then you've used that necessity to forge yourself into something remarkable, something that would never have existed without the catalyst of suffering. So yes, you must become grateful, not to your enemies. They were just unconscious instruments of fate, but to the process. Grateful that the universe cared enough about your potential to violently disrupt your mediocrity. Grateful that you were granted the gift of suffering significant enough to fuel a significant transformation. This is the final transmutation, when your pain becomes fuel rather than weight. When you stop seeing yourself as a victim recovering from trauma and start seeing yourself as a warrior who earned their scars in the arena. When the wound itself becomes a source of pride, not because suffering is noble, but because of what you built from it. This is the fifth and final law. Transmute victimhood into sovereignty. Own your story completely, including painful parts. Because the painful parts are what made the story worth telling. Your pain will become their fear, because you will become living proof that suffering doesn't destroy strong people. It reveals them. Every time they see you now, thriving where they expected you to crumble, succeeding where they predicted failure, radiating power where they inflicted weakness, they will be forced to confront an uncomfortable truth. They didn't break you, they forged you. And that realization, that they accidentally created their own nightmare, that's the revenge that requires no action from you. It's the revenge that happens automatically, inevitably, simply through your existence. This is what it means for your pain to become their fear. Not because you hurt them back, not because you seek vengeance, but because you use their attack as the catalyst for a transformation so complete that your very presence becomes a warning to everyone who might consider crossing it. This one cannot be broken. This one transmutes damage into power. This one is dangerous. But there's another dimension to this that we must explore. One that goes beyond personal transformation and touches on something deeper. Something almost supernatural. When you truly complete this work, when you genuinely transmute your suffering into power, you begin to emanate something that operates below conscious awareness. Call it energy, call it presence, call it whatever you want, but others feel it. It's the reason why certain people walk into rooms and everyone notices, even if they're not doing anything to draw attention. It's the reason why some individuals speak and people listen, while others can scream and be ignored. It's that ineffable quality that makes predators recognize other predators, that makes weak people instinctively avoid strong ones. You're cultivating that through your suffering and your refusal to let it destroy you, through your transformation and your commitment to your own power. You're developing a presence that communicates at a primal level. I have walked through fire and emerged tempered, not consumed. And people, whether they understand it consciously or not, respect that, fear that, give way before that. This is why your pain becomes their fear. Because your pain has transformed you into something that triggers their survival instincts. Not because you're aggressive or threatening, but because you radiate the unmistakable frequency of someone who has survived what would have destroyed them, and emerged not just intact, but enhanced. Now let me tell you what comes next, after the transformation is complete. There will come a day, maybe months from now, maybe years, when you wake up and realize that you haven't thought about them in weeks. The people who hurt you, who once occupied every waking thought, who drove every action through your desire to prove them wrong, they simply faded. This is the ultimate indicator that the work is complete. When you've genuinely moved beyond seeking their validation, their recognition, their regret. When you build something so meaningful that the past literally can't compete with the present. At first, your motivation will be about them. That's natural. That rage, that desire to prove them wrong, to show them what they lost. That's powerful fuel in the early stages. Use it. Let it drive you through the difficult mornings and the exhausting nights. But gradually, imperceptibly, the motivation shifts. You stop working out to show them your transformation and start working out because you love the feeling of strength. You stop building your business to prove your worth and start building it because you're genuinely fascinated by the work. You stop pursuing success to make them jealous and start pursuing it because you've discovered that you're capable of remarkable things. The wound that drove you becomes background radiation, always there, part of your story, but no longer the story itself. You've transcended it without forgetting it, integrated it without being defined by it. And this is when you become truly dangerous. Because now you're not operating from reaction, but from genuine purpose. Now you're not building a revenge fantasy, but building an actual legacy. Now you're not trying to become someone despite them. You've simply become someone, period. This is the difference between transformation driven by spite and transformation driven by purpose. Both can produce results, but only one produces lasting fulfillment. Only one creates something real. So use the pain as your initial fuel, but don't let it be your only fuel. Let it ignite you, but then find deeper reasons to keep burning. Because the ultimate revenge isn't making them regret losing you. It's building a life so extraordinary that you genuinely stop caring whether they regret it or not. That's freedom. That's power. That's the final stage of transmutation. We've reached the end of this transmission, but not the end of your journey. That's only beginning. You stand at a crossroads now. One path leads back to who you were. The wounded, the victim, the one nursing pain like a terminal disease. That path is comfortable. It's familiar, and it leads absolutely nowhere. The other path, my path, leads through fire. It demands everything. It requires you to become someone you don't recognize. To embrace aspects of yourself that polite society taught you to fear. It's harder, lonelier, more painful in the short term, but it leads to sovereignty, to power, to a life where you dictate terms instead of accepting them. The choice is yours. It always was. But if you choose the path of transmutation, if you're ready to turn your pain into their fear, then I need you to prove it one final time. Smash that like button if you're ready to embrace your darkness and forge it into power. Comment below with one word. Your commitment. What's the single word that captures your intention to rise from these ashes? Drop it below. Mark this moment. Make it real. Subscribe and turn on all notifications. Because what I share tonight is just the beginning. There are deeper mysteries, darker teachings, more powerful transmutations waiting in the videos to come. Each one is another key to unlock the prison they built around your potential. And share this with those few who you know already. Those who are wounded but not broken. Those who have fire in their eyes and rage in their hearts but haven't yet learned how to channel it into power. Give them the map. Show them the path. Remember, the world is divided into two types of people. Those who are shaped by their circumstances, and those who shape their circumstances through will. You now know which one you're becoming. Your pain was the tuition. Your transformation is the degree. And their fear, when they finally see what you become, that's your graduation ceremony. The present begins to fade. But the final words echo with absolute authority. Go now into the darkness, into the work, into the fire that forges kings from broken men and queens from shattered women. And when you emerge, when you've completed this great work, remember, you didn't survive despite the pain. You became formidable because of it. The wound was the doorway. You just had to be brave enough to walk through it into the darkness, trusting that on the other side, you'd find not light, but power. Now go, become what they fear. Your resurrection begins today. The ancient laws have been spoken. The dark path has been illuminated. What you do with this knowledge will determine everything. Will you return to comfort and slow decay? Or will you step into the fire and emerge as something the world has never seen? I already know your answer. I can see it in your eyes. That spark, barely alive when we began, is now aflame. Feed it. Protect it. Let it consume everything weak within you until only the unbreakable remains. Your pain will become their fear. Not someday, not eventually. Starting now.